Alright, now I need to come in off the sidelines here, off the bench, in order to participate in a game of goofiness. The Logan Paul vs. Dillon Danis situation has finally reached the bare minimum silliness threshold that summons me. So these two performed the ritual and made the proper silly sacrifice, and here I am. For those that don't know, Logan Paul is fighting Dillon Danis pretty soon, and in order to hype up their fight, they've been beefing with each other online. And usually this is very lame. In the influencer boxing space, this is all just very see-through marketing, formulaic garbage where two people who don't actually dislike each other pretend that they do in order for the bigger paycheck. So they start farming controversy and make really lazy attempts at it. Be like, hey, stupid face, can't wait to punch you and spit on you in the ring on this date, 'cause I hate you. You're tacky and I hate you. Like, that's usually the level of this controversy, the drama beforehand to try and make it like a grudge match or bad blood. It's very uninteresting. Makes me go yawn. That's a snooze fest. This time around with Logan Paul and Dillon Danis, though, it's been a bit different. This is a circus show fight between two clowns that the internet has laughed at and disliked for years. They're both scammers, by the way. I want to make this clear up front and center since most people seem to have forgotten that Dillon Danis is also a notorious scammer. So there's a whole video from CoffeeZilla on this about how he's more than willing to just exploit all of his fans for money off of knowingly promoting fraudulent products. And of course, Logan Paul is notorious for scamming his fans as well through CryptoZoo, of which he still has refused to refund their money, even though he said he would do that many, many months ago. This is a core component of what I want to talk about today, because Dillon Danis has been able to wipe some of that clown makeup off in the court of public opinion. He's got a lot of new fans as a result of all of this, because he employed an innovative new strategy for shit-talking. He's been posting pictures of Logan Paul's fiancée with other men, and then he'll have captions with it like, it's a picture of a Renaissance painting, and he's like, hey Logan, is that your wife over there with another guy? She's a time-traveling succubus. Your wife went back to the 14th century just to fuck this other man to get away from you. Like, and people are eating it up. People are going crazy for it. He's gained like 400,000 followers over the last couple weeks, hundreds of millions of impressions. And like a phoenix rising from the ashes of his dead joke of a career, he was reborn. Dillon Danis found salvation. In the wise words of Qui-Gon Jinn, there's always a bigger shit. And Danis found it with Logan Paul. He found a bigger piece of shit than himself. He couldn't have made a better wish if he had fairy godparents. This was an unbelievable blessing that fell in his lap, because everybody hates Logan Paul. So the community wanted to rally behind Dillon Danis, who was hopping in the kitchen and fucking cooking him. He was serving up beef, and the entire internet was consuming that meat more aggressively than Luffy in One Piece. And they were loving it. So now, his whole public image has been saved thanks to Logan Paul being just the easiest punching bag ever. And not many people knew who Dillon Danis was before this, unless you were already deep in the fighting community, and in that case, you were probably already in on the joke, because apparently he wasn't well liked in the space. I guess he had a reputation of ducking fights, and then even if he'd take them, he'd lose. So, like, most people just didn't even know anything about him. They just saw him posting all these pictures with his fiancée with other men and dunking on him, and Logan Paul just rolling over, belly up, just taking all of it. He hasn't even tried shit-talking back at all. He's just been reduced to this personal urinal cake for Dillon Danis to piss on. Like, it's not even a competition. Like, he's not even engaging in any of the trolling. So Dillon Danis has just won over the entire community's support against Logan. Which brings us to today, where they had their big press conference, where always these things are drummed up and fake in order to, again, get more hype and sell more tickets. But Dillon Danis is very good at getting under people's skin, so it really feels like he's crawled under Logan Paul and he's using him like a fucking fleshlight from the inside out. So he showed up to this event wearing this. Obviously a reference to Logan Paul's infamous Suicide Forest video. Still, to date, one of the most deplorable videos a big content creator has ever proudly posted online, where he filmed and mocked a dead body in a Japanese suicide forest. And the press conference really goes how you expect. Logan Paul eventually throws a piece of cake at Dillon Danis, and he's like, oh, Buster, now you crossed the line. Why, I'll come over there and beat the devil out of you. You know, it's nothing we haven't seen a million times before, all completely fucking manufactured. So that's not exactly what I want to mention next. It's just the same standard formula you've seen at these press conferences. Tables get flipped, everyone's heated, but everyone's getting held back. You gotta wait for the fight, buy your tickets very quickly so you can see all this pent-up aggression unleashed in the ring quickly. This is authentic. You know, that kind of shit. But there was something that was said that I had to laugh very hard at. I can't play the clip because I don't want to risk DMCA, so I'll just paint a picture with words here and describe it. Logan Paul brings up a bet that he proposed where he'd wager $1 million that he will suck the fart out of Dillon Danis' ass. It's not even going to be a real fight. Logan Paul will beat him, but not only beat him, he will annihilate him, de-atomize him. He will clobber Dillon, and he's so confident he'll put $1 million on it right now. And a lot of people pointed out that this is a really weird bet for him to make, considering Logan Paul still has a debt that hasn't been paid to his community that he scammed with CryptoZoo. He made a promise to his community that he'd pay back about $1.5 million and some change to all of the victims of his scam, and he still hasn't. Yet here he is, proudly puffing his chest up and saying that he'll wager $1 million on this fight? Bozo, why don't you take care of the victims of your scam that put their trust in you with their money, put their faith in you, and lost so much? Why don't you finally fulfill your promise and just pay them back instead of wager the $1 million on this? And during the press conference, Dillon Danis goes there. Miss Frizzle opened up the doors to the school bus and invited Dillon Danis on, and they took a trip right to confronting Logan Paul to his face about it. And he said, "Why don't you pay back the victims of CryptoZoo instead?" And I shit you not, Logan Paul's response is, "I'm working on it." No, you're not. You have so many millions upon millions of dollars. You could have paid this back 50 times over by now, but you haven't. You just keep dangling this carrot in front of their starving, salivating faces where they're still praying that they can finally get their money back because you promised you would give it back. You would pay them back. And you just keep that there, just out of reach, knowing full well that you'll probably never actually pay it back. You keep praying for a time where people will just forget and move on, but it's not coming. And what made me laugh is that it's Dillon Danis that said it because he's obviously a scammer too. So it was a scammer calling out another scammer's scam. Dillon Danis has exploited his community so many times, knowingly scamming them because he's making money off of it. And yet here he is trying to hop on his high horse like, how dare you? I can't... You scammed your community. You remember that, Logan? I would never. I could never even imagine. It'd be like if Chris Brown made a statement on not beating women. Like, Dillon is absolutely right. Why not just finally refund your victims of CryptoZoo like you've promised many months ago? But it's coming from Dillon Danis, who is also a scammer that has not refunded any of the victims and just outright tells them to eat shit for it. What reality are we living in right now? It's a fucking beautiful disaster. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this real quick because I watched the press conference and that part I just couldn't help but laugh pretty hard at. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah.